Let us serve this community with love and compassion. May the joy, bring joy and peace dwell in your hearts. May this food provide strength and comfort. Amen.
Amen.
Our flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our four-way test.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
All right, you may be seated. Oh, wait. How about a song? Yeah, we need a song. Stephanie.
All right, the Mariners are 7-1 right now, so we're gonna sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if I ever get back for the root for the Mariners. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes are out at the old ball game.
All right, Jenny. All right. Do we have any? I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the acoustics got progressively worse. So we're gonna have to keep the small talk to a minimum to get through this today. Is there any Italy Rotarians? Any visitors to Rotarians?
Good afternoon. This afternoon I have my wife Amy with me.
Hi, Amy.
All right, that it for visitors? All right, we're on to reports. We have a flyer out on your table. Tim Howell, can you give us a heads up on the little flyer?
Sent out these flyers, and they're just to introduce people that have no experience with the Rotary auction to the auction. We figured it would hand them one of these flyers along with a donation request, whatever. And that way.
Okay.
So give them one of the flyers with a.
Wrote a request for the, whatever that donation slip is. that we fill out. So yeah, if you like them, if you think they're going to be useful to you.
And it'll be useful to you, just let me know, I've got several of them here. They're kind of expensive to get made, so they cost about $2 a piece to get them made. But Mark Wilson put these together. So yeah, I have some of them.
All right, well, thanks, Tim and Mark Nelson for putting that together. All right. So just so that you guys know, that microphone, there's a mysterious shield right through the room, right about the mic Janice can pull up. And if you're standing in that line, it just phases out. So if you're having that problem, just back up 5 feet and it should go away. And I don't know why it does that. Okay, Dan Hoffman, can you give us an update on all of the mess we got here?
Yeah, so as you can see, we were here Saturday, and I will have to say that we were, to say kind of a very experienced group. There was the baby of the bunch of 54 up to Don. How old are you? 87. So our average age was probably in the mid-70s. And 6 of us, and you can see, we got a lot of work done. So I talked to Carl about how do we recruit more people, and he said, well, look at your building committee. And as Steve knows, we got about 20 people. And almost all the new people, we're looking for some younger people to show up at these work parties. I can tell you that I'm pretty sore. And also found out last year when I joined the club, and you go to these things, it's a great way to get to know your club members. So I want to do it in a more positive fashion rather than calling people out. I think you would really enjoy it. Oh, Seraphim brought us sandwiches. Lynn, you repeat that? 2 dozen donuts. So it's a work party, everybody works hard, but you can see we accomplished a lot. So we have another one this weekend. We got some more deconstruction to do. Tim was awesome at that, by the way. And Ashley's going to be in charge of building the walls back here. He's going to get it all set up the next day or so. So I would welcome everyone to come out. You can see that we're at the start. We are now committed, and we have 6 weeks to do it. There's a wedding in here next month on the 16th. So we have to have it done together, which also means double doors out there and a patio floor.
Are we working Saturday morning?
We're open Saturday morning at 8 o'clock again.
Okay, so there you go. Show of hands, anybody want to come out? Help us get this thing done. Got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we got to do better than that. 5. So Dan will be calling his committee and others with youth. You know, Eric here is doing hearing. I don't know what you do on Saturday morning, but most guys you're ready to sleep in, so we're doing that. We're grateful for all the help that we get. How about Curtis? You have an announcement for teams?
Yeah, team April and May just meet up here at the front after today's Rotary meeting, just for a real quick meeting. Thank you.
Okay, so team April and May right after the meeting, right?
Correct.
Okay, great. Mike Crawford, are you around here?
Yes,
Can you give us a quick update on Stephen, please?
yes. Stephen Dahl, with our group, and making a situation where we're going to have planners come outside the thing. We spent yesterday about 4 hours together. He is going through this process of treatment, and the doctors told him it's probably going to be 6 months, but he is getting better. He's come by, back when I left the office, he's stopped by for a few minutes to check in. So anyway, we're hoping for the best. It looks good. He's losing his hair. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, other than that, that's good.
Yeah, it is good. Now, we weren't told the whole truth about the work party because we did have 2 younger people show up, and one of them was Stephen. So that was pretty cool. He should be in those pictures somewhere. And he looks pretty good. And the other young person we had show up was Tim Howland's daughter, Kate. She's a Microsoft employee, and Microsoft has a program where if you volunteer your time, they will pay, I think they pay the charity of her choice $25 an hour. So I think we're getting paid for her to work here potentially. Is that the way that's going to work, Tim? Yeah, that's pretty cool. And she swings a mighty sledgehammer, so bring her back. We like her. She was great. Any other announcements? Bill, work party out at the lake.
Yeah.
We are going to have this work party done by 2:30 at the latest on Saturday, the 27th.
Okay.
For that reason, I made an executive decision that we're moving everything up 1 hour. So we're going to meet for breakfast at 7:30 rather than 8:30. Hopefully be at the work party by 9. I was part of the work party last Saturday. One of the reasons I showed up is because I think that if I want people to come to our work party on the 27th, I need to reciprocate. And I think and we were a bunch of old parts. And I come around long enough for the donuts, but I didn't get any of the sandwiches. So maybe next time I can stay for a sandwich.
Yeah. So your work party will have some food for lunch. Is that arranged?
That's correct. Andrew will be here on the 18th to give us all an update as to what needs to be done. But she and her daughter are going to provide snacks and or a lunch. And I'm springing for breakfast, remember, so show up at the bakery 7:30, I'm fine.
Yeah, and we'll figure out a way to feed you this Saturday. I have drinks already in my cooler, waiting to go. All right, anything else before we move along to the raffle? All right, let's have our raffle. All right.
closest billion, with a B, the value of the global medical marijuana market in 2017.
Only the medical marijuana, not the fun stuff?
That's what it says here.
I don't know. How many dollars do you want?
17 billion.
Let's take it, come on. Is that your answer?
No.
All right, 32.
32, that's our answer.
32, well, it was 13.9, so pay $2. Okay. What is the projected value of that market in billions by 2026? Yeah. Okay, so no, it's 57.58 billion. You guys are close, but not close enough. Pay $2.
Why are you so interested
I'm just going on. Okay, so what is the percentage of firms that indicate labor shortage is causing them to ask skilled workers to do much more? Okay, pay $2, it's 81%. Okay. The percentage of job candidates that senior managers report have been removed from consideration for positions with the company after their references were checked. Is your answer? It's 34%, so.
Pretty good. I know.
What is the percentage of Americans who would rather wait in line at the DMV than argue with the spouse about cleaning? You would rather wait at the DMV? Come on. 32%. Where was tulips originally cultivated? Okay, so tulips were originally started in Turkey. They were imported into Holland in what century?
17th.
When did tulips get sent from Turkey to Holland? 16th century is correct.
There you go.
All right, I'm done.
You got happy dollars.
Happy dollars. $50 today. Nick does, because he's so happy about taxes this year.
That being said, my bracket busted. This is the one year I decided not to be a homer and say Michigan State was going to the Final Four. Every other year, I was Michigan State going. My grandma played football for Michigan State, so I've got kind of faith in grandma. Yep. So I have $5 in exchange for me for my Spartans. No change.
Okay, the school district people should be happy this week. Spring break or something.
He's trying to get 3 more votes for the thing.
I know.
Happy 5. We're happy because we're on spring break.
Anybody else? Come on, raise your hand.
Becky's happy.
Julia's happy.
I'm very happy. We had a wonderful chamber meeting yesterday. We were at the Magnolia Grill, and it was so nice and cozy. We didn't even realize how many people we had until we tried to squish ourselves into that beautiful hall. And Julia was doing the presentation and giving us the update of what's going on in the city. Thank you so much. You did a beautiful job. And so she will be such a welcome member in the new Toastmasters Club that we are starting in September. Come talk to us if you're interested.
Thank you. Give the money to Curtis. Okay, Becky.
Happy bucks. I got to go up and see Norm Curtis on his birthday. He's 96 and still doing great. And he said to say hi to everyone.
All right. I do have one more announcement. The YMCA is inviting everybody to a community celebration from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on May 18th. I'll put this flyer over on the table over there. And if you're interested in going, put it on your calendar.
What was the date again?
It's May 18th from 10 to 3. And it's a ribbon cutting and so forth for the grand opening of the YMCA. All right? I think we are ready to it's time for early neighbors if you want to go, so we have a great program. Jim Taylor is here from the Strathmore Trail Builders Association, and he's going to be talking about all the trails that they're building in the Northern State Complex. So we'll give you just a second. As you are all aware, we are building a sign for the Veterans Park, the park entrance sign. And that is all part of what's going on out there. My company, and it's funded by the county and the Parks Department, are providing water out to the shelter out there, and putting in a septic system this summer. The bathrooms will be in the next phase. They've got a request for like $1 million more. And the second phase will be to pave the parking lot, which they chip sealed this time. And then they'll put in a bathroom facility, kind of like what we did over at Mason Park, or maybe a precast thing that they just drop in. And there'll be electrical and lighting, and then the Veterans Park will have, there's a bunch of features in the Veterans Park area. But if you know anybody that has any good, cannons or tanks, or howitzers, or military equipment, part of the program is to put some of those old pieces of equipment out there that kids can climb on. So, and that will be part of the whole theme of the thing. So I'm not tasked with finding those things, but I'm just letting you know that if you know of anybody that has that kind of stuff, it would be great to start a conversation. Because I think if we found some equipment, we could probably put it out there sooner than later. I don't think there'd be any harm to, throwing a tank out there right now. All right. So I'd like to introduce our speaker today. It is Jim Taylor, who's with Skagit Parks, Skagit Trail Association, or Skagit Trail, sorry. These are the guys that are responsible. They spent 10 years building the trails at Little Mountain. If you've walked on those, or I ride my mountain bike up over there all the time. It's a fantastic set of trails, and we get to look forward to having that quality of trail built right here in our backyard, with the hopes that someday we'll get up on the mountain up behind it and get really, some really great trails. So let's please welcome Jim Taylor.
Thank you for the opportunity, I appreciate this. Skagit Trail Builders grew out of Mount Vernon Trail Builders. We spent 10 years in Mount Vernon and started with advocacy. It takes a few years to get projects started typically. And so we showed up in planning meetings, advocated for it, and in the long run, what it ended up turning into is 7 years of building in the park that resulted in 14,000 volunteer hours, and we built 7 miles of multi-use trails. The video is supposed to start right now. It's set up to automatically turn on. It's not.
You might have to click it one more time.
One more.
No.
All right, go back. Maybe it's still not. The video you can transfer.
I got the thumb right still. I apologize. What it is a short video that shows the work that's being done out there. It only takes about 2 minutes. It's worth it. In the meantime, the advocacy part of it and community involvement is hugely important. So the opportunity to come out and speak with a group like this is critical, because having community involvement is a key portion of making programs like this stay on track and move forward. When the political will is lost in the community, things stall out. Oh, we'll skip that. Right there, it should start. Okay, we're going to have fun. Right now, we're called Skagit Trail Builders. We have a new project here in Sedro Woolley. The things that we did at Little Mountain, we started out with advocacy, went right into the project design mode. Then we led volunteers, community engagement, going out into the community at community events and stuff was important. We had to involve all the different stakeholders, which included hikers going to their groups, because a lot of times these cross groups, they don't always see things eye to eye, so getting everybody on the same page and understanding you're not the enemy is really important. Equestrian out here is going to be really important. They're part of the youth group that we want to work on. And then fundraising, we were very involved in that also in Mount Vernon. So this is the project we're referring to as the Northern State Regional Trails, and these are our initial partners. We've got the port, because we're crossing some of their property. The city has already stepped on up and expressed interest. Job Corps, they're going to be our next volunteer group coming out of a special session. And then Skagit County Parks and Rec.
Oh, but you missed one.
We spent months out there creating a trails plan, walking through.
Can you go back one?
Yes.
Go back one. I think the Rotary Club is a sponsor there.
Yep.
And that's actually the Sedro Woolley Rotary Club. And we're going to be on a T-shirt that we sponsored that will be sold or given to volunteers. And
Correct.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show that T-shirt
Okay, good.
in another slide. But these are all the initial partners. Everybody chipped in to make that possible. And the volunteer T-shirts are really important to outreach. So here's
a master trail builder on the left-hand side, GPS and everything. We spent months out there walking the resource, crossing streams, meadows. We went through areas that we went through just to confirm that we're not going to build there. Areas that are going to flood too much. Right here, he's standing on a rock that's about 30 feet tall, that's big enough that it shows up on our LiDAR map. And so we covered every corner of that resource, finding beaver ponds, beautiful little forested areas and corners of the park. Another area that we were navigating property lines out there because we've got to figure out a path through to eventually get up to the highlands that we want to achieve access to. DNR land is what we need to do. In order to really have a substantial trail system, we need to connect to other resources. Some more of the lush, small forest lands we got out there in little pockets. And this is the first place that we're building right now. We've already roughed out and started the work in here. That's a slope that goes on down to Hanson Creek. That's right across the creek from the powerhouse there at Northern State Hospital. So what we're doing is we're starting out in 2019, we're going to have 2 trail projects. We're starting on Skagit County property on that parcel that was just being shown by our company standing in the forest. That's called the Pump House Trail. And then we're going to jump over in the second half of the year on the Court property and work on the Brickyard Trail. This is the first property up here on Skagit County property. Right here is where he was standing, right there on that area right there. You can see that line right there, that's an existing route that goes across it. It looks like it's being probably elk just crossing it and things like that, but it crosses the creek and the area that this whole trail we're going to be building here. Everything that's in purple, that's all existing. And so you're oriented right here. There's the Northern State area, the hospital area. Here's the second trail that's going to be built on the Court property. We refer to it as the Brickyard Creek Trail, and it's right here. The gatehouse is down in here, so when you drive on in, it's in the trees over on the left-hand side. There's Goat Hill where the reservoir is. And so the trail that we want to get connected in the first year or two is going to be through here. As you can see, we have a lot of strategy sessions, and reaching consensus is important. This is the work. After we have a plan in place, we go to work. And this is cutting briars on out to create a trail corridor out there. Then we flag. Oops, let me go back. You can see the flagging, hopefully there. Now, this is one of our first sessions. It's the group that came on out from Skagit Valley College. It's wildlife firefighting crew being trained there by the leader right here. We had 6 volunteers on that session in December. You can see the beginning of a trail tread. The flagging there, that defines the uphill edge of the trail. Start to take more and more shape all the time. There you see him standing in. It's not a complete trail, but all of the organic material has been pulled off. It's got a nice downhill slope, and so that will shed the water, and so that's the beginning of the trail. Here we're ready for our second session, which happened in May, and that was another wildland firefighting crew. You probably recognize the resource there. It was a beautiful day, 3 times as many students. Here they're getting their safety training, which we always have a safety meeting before any of our builds. Walk on out. For those of you that know the resource well, this is all probably very familiar.
Walk down to that low spot. Okay, now they're right at the trail where we're doing the work. You can see that the way that they're spaced for safety, you need to have room to take a tool like that and not hit anybody. And they don't do overhead work like that. You need to have safe working areas. That's the way it starts out. And in this case, since it was just salmon berries, it wasn't the blackberries that are so nasty. So we didn't take out as much of the ground cover as we normally do. There you can see they're at the north end of that trail that I was showing earlier that we're starting on first. So here's the 2 sessions that we've got done. December 12th, March 3rd, and the next session is Job Corps. They're coming out on April 13th. These have been closed special sessions leading up to our public session, which is going to be on May 11th, where that is being publicized. We're doing flyers. We're going to get a good campaign going to get turnaround. So jumping back onto the flyer. Here you have a couple of volunteers from Sedro Woolley that were out at Little Mountain years ago when we were putting in the trail we call Sidekick, which you know out there. And so anyway, this is going to be our first flyer. So I don't know the Sedro Woolley area where the places are that we need to put flyers up, but I'm sure that Carl will have some ideas.
We've already been putting them on the tables, and I've got an update. I didn't bring them today, but I'll have them from now on until May 11th.
Perfect. Here's the t-shirt we were talking about. This is our logo that we've created just to kind of help people understand what we're about. Because we're starting in a new area here. People don't know us. You know, Mount Vernon, we had 600 followers and people that were a part of our group. We will still reach out to them, but we're going to have to build a new volunteer group here in Sedro Woolley. So that's the color. It's going to be a dark color because we get our stuff dirty. There's the back of it. That we figured that was the most iconic image that we had to represent the area, so that's what we went with. All of the logos of all the partners are shown right here. So to show you what trail building looked like in Mount Vernon is this. These are, on one trail, we had 13 switchbacks. That's one trail. So this resource is different. It's not as steep as Little Mountain, but we're still going to have places we're going to have to build rock walls to retain soils to get the right slopes. This is some of the work that we did out there creating steps because we accommodated not only cyclists and runners, but also hikers. And here we had 3 generations represented by our crew leader, right here, Jerry Granahan, Art Huffey, our master designer. And then this is part of a high school group coming from Burlington. Here Art was, everything is measured on out, and you can see splitting off a section here that we're going to move on place, and the Navy Junior ROTC group is going to help move that into place. Those are the steps that were done at the end of the day. And nobody's going to move those. This is, our volunteers vary dramatically. On the one trail that's over a mile long called Lazy Boy, we built 5 or 6 of these bridges like that. And this is one of our early young volunteers. This is how we got the name of our trail, Lazy Boy. I don't know if you can see that chair there or not, but that flag is stuck right on in the arm of a chair. Volunteers come in all sizes. That's a brother and sister that get along. There's one of our youngest. And we use buckets with our young volunteers. Rocks are valuable. Finding a low place to put rocks is a great way to keep them busy and safe. This is one of our earliest young volunteers. She came out the first couple of sessions in 2009 and stayed with us for years. That's her over there with her dad. They came out, they were moving out of the area, and they came out on their moving day. say goodbye, and volunteer one last time. It's so impressive. Here to see that these kids really do good work. I mean, this is one of our volunteers here that has played an important role in building this trail tread here. I was talking about with Carl earlier about a school teacher here in Sedro Woolley that wants to bring a group out and get involved. That's him right there. He was one of our leaders at Mount Vernon. And this volunteer here, she had only come out a few times until she had become a specialist in transplanting ferns. And we don't waste anything. When we have nice ferns, we move them out of what's going to be the trail tread into the edge area because we believe in restoring and making it look nice. So here's that volunteer that here has earned a shirt. The shirts are important. It helps us with our outreach. These kids develop a sense of ownership in the trail system, and they're there for years. It's great. Here's some of our core group that's involved in some final cleanup. This is in the area where we showed those steps earlier, where we did a lot of work there, rerouting and things, so we had a lot of ferns to move. On one of our biggest days, that was National Trail Day, we had 66 volunteers, which is a little hard to lead almost, but we made it happen, no injuries, and we run a real safe group. That gentleman right there that's wiping his brow, I was able to talk him into replacing me on the Parks Foundation as the president. Here's a trail called the Nature Trail. And that stump right there, we ended up cutting that root off, and the fact that we had a dingo out there on a chain made it an awful lot easier to deal with. But on these projects, we utilize all different techniques. Sometimes it's all hand-built, other times we're equipment-oriented. Just needs to be. Here's what's going to be a trailhead. You can see right here the area that they're going through. Right over here is that trail lazy boy I was talking about earlier. And right over here is where those steps were I was pointing to earlier. So they're digging this on out. Here it shows the other perspective where they were doing their work was right up there. And then this is where it comes on out and crosses the access road with a culvert through and the compactor. And there's my wife standing right there in the center. I met her out there. She was a volunteer, and we ended up getting married on a bridge we built together. We have all kinds of wet areas out at Little Mountain Park, and the way that we accommodate that is by putting in a rock and landscape cloth underneath it in order to keep it from turning into a bog. So hardening these threads is really important. You see there we have a lot of rock, because this is the main drainage area on a low trail, a lot of water runs through there, so it required a lot of rock. More switchbacks. To be sustainable, you have to put in the time. You have to put in the rock walls, and you have to make certain they're going to stay in place. And there's no shortcut on that stuff. It should work. Like I was talking about earlier, buried equipment, those dingoes, boy, they're great. We use that for loading our power carriers, and we moved, I don't know how many yards of material we moved in order to build the nature trail out there, but it was probably 20 truckloads of rock that we had to bring on in addition to using materials for native. There's the fines going on that we compact right there. That's a family right there, that whole group right back here. Father and two sons came out regularly. There's my stepdaughter working on another switchback. There they are packing it in. There's the renovation work that happens along the edge of the rock walls. That's the tallest rock wall that we built. Here we're using native materials. You can see that we put in shivs here in order to split these rocks, because in some of these areas that they're too far in order to move material in, and it's too steep. So you have to use whatever you can find out there. There's the power carrier we use. Sometimes we just fill buckets and quickly do it that way. It works great. Here's a lady that donated lunches. She brought out soup to us, and she and her husband, their family, took that on as feeding volunteers at Little Mountain, which was wonderful. And you can see here her and her husband. And this is the former president, and her name was Mary Alice Vivian. Some of you might have known Mary Alice. She passed away recently, but she was the foundation president, and this was wonderful. She was a great resource. In these trail building sessions, we do a lot of meetings. We usually start out with a planning meeting and end up with a post meeting until we know what we have planned for the following session. You can just see the kind of groups that we had. Kids coming on out, we split them into two different groups, the youngest and then the ones that could do the more significant work. We put through more training, and the kids like this, we give a real small project to. We got church groups, again, the Navy Junior Reserve Officer Training Group out of Burlington, Cub Scouts, lots of Cub Scouts, another Cub Scout group. This was fun. This kid was so serious. It was like he was saluting every time you were giving him instruction. At Mount Vernon High School, their Honor Society group. This is the National Outdoor Leadership School out of Conway. They were wonderful, and they came out every year, a session or two. Wildland Firefighting Group, they're the ones that were out here the first two sessions of this new project. This is another year of the National Outdoor Leadership School. You can't tell what they're doing. They're not building a trail there, but right in here, this is an area that a lot of water runs off of the mountain, and we needed to direct that water through one channel. So they're doing some ditching up there so the water run through a kind of a little spillway that we built across the trail to manage the water. Back to the Sedro Woolley group. They were out there on a snowy day. It was a mixture of rain and snow, and they were wonderful. They smiled all day long. They were cold. We gave them hot soup, but they had a great time. We maintain what we built, blowing the leaves off in the fall, just taking care of that trail tread. This is what we looked like when we started. There were 3 of us, and we take a sack lunches out. And near the tail end, we had people donating gourmet ice cream bars and supporting us in any way that they could, which is just wonderful. So we did things like street fairs, community events, guest groups, whatever you can do to get the word out, because recruiting volunteers isn't easy. And people are interested, but it's not easy to get them out. But after they do come out, if you feed them well, and you care for them, and you show appreciation, and you get a shirt on their back, they come. And so this is one of the raffles that we did on a yearly basis, was giving away a mountain bike that was donated by Skagit Cycle Center. That was one of the bikes we gave away. Here we are at the Tulip Street Fair. Take lots of pictures, go to a lot of events. There's another, this is the Porterhouse, and another bike, another year. This is 4% Friday, the Skagit Valley Food Co-op. They, a percentage, 4% of their revenue for a given day goes toward a volunteer crew that's chosen in advance, and we participated in that one year. And here's the YMCA. That's the teacher here at Sedro Woolley that wants to get a group of high school students involved out at NSRA, which we hope comes to fruition. This was the Healthy Kids program. And so that's the cake that was made to represent Little Mountain. And here it's being served. This was our wellness hike with the mayor one year. And so some of the projects that we did that were notable was like on the south side of the park. It's very, very steep, a lot of rock. And so there was an area that they thought was unsafe and needed to be closed. We chose to cut steps into the rock instead. And so we just ground out the section, put in footsteps, and up here you can see that's the edge of, we built some steps out of cedar also, just anchoring them into the rock. And so we preserved that resource because there are very few resources that steep for hiking on. For the work we were doing on the south side, because of the steepness, you probably can't see it, but we added disc brakes to our wheelbarrows because it's just steep, and we wanted to haul along. We kept blowing front tires, so we had to upgrade our tires. But that's a huge rock and a lot of weight, and so the right tools matter. That's probably the tallest wall that we built on the south side, and that was just to accommodate a corner so you can make it on a bicycle. Needed to have a radius there that was wide enough. There's a trail that I referred to earlier as Lazy Boy. It's over a mile long, and in the middle of the trail we needed a lot of rock, and so we used Highline in order to transport it down. And that's what's being shown here. That was a big part of the video that I wasn't able to make work. Here's one of the 5 or 6 bridges on Lazy Boy that's being built. Seating halfway in, a quarter of a mile on to the bridge site that we call the Nature Trail. Pedestrian steps for hikers. Here you can see the whole step system. That's one of the steepest trails on the north side of the park, and this is a multi-use trail here. This is the bridge that I talked about earlier, being in at the end of the Nature Trail. And another view of the bridge. Here's a picnic table, memorial picnic table we put at the end of the Nature Trail where it starts Karen Trail. And it's asked, did it change? Did trails change the nature of the park? Well, this is a parking area now that used to just be Little Mountain Road. And that's the new trailhead we put in for the Nature Trail right there. And there's frequently not enough parking there on nice days. So they just need more parking now. You see the kind of users we get out there. And different trails to accommodate different skill levels. Hikers and cyclists sharing trails and getting along. It can work. Families enjoying the park. It's become just a safe and friendly place. And frequently we see this father and son out there, and it's just so fun seeing somebody so small leading his dad going, I want to go to this trail over here. It's great. So something that Carl's talked about in some of our meetings is a desire to build a bridge. Well, we found a spot. And there used to be a bridge right here. It's a place that would link. That side is Skagit County, and this side is the port over here, properties. And so we went on out there, took a look at it. Patrick Dillon, which is a landscape architect that works both with Skagit County and with the port, they all like the idea. And the bridge that we built before is exactly the same span as that site right there. So we've got the design and we're ready to go. And like I said, we built it before. Here we were bringing the blue lambs in, flying them across the creek, set them in place on the bulkheads we built at each end, and then taking in the pre-built panels that we built, and then just brought them on in and bolted them on. You see the way we installed them there. It goes together pretty quickly. Now hopefully the time-lapse photography works here. And it isn't either. Oh wait, there it is finished. So anyway, I had time-lapse photography showing the way they went together. So anyway, that's the bridge we hope to build out at Northern State. It would look exactly like that. We can build something like that out at Little Mountain back when we did it. It ended up coming in under $16,000 to put a bridge like that in using volunteers and kitting it with all of the materials. And now I'm just guessing, you know, it'll be under $20,000 to do it out here, I'm sure. It's all got to be built in advance and just bolted together out there. So
Is the 20,000 for the permit or the bridge?
just the bridge. Any questions? Did I go over time?
Oh, no, you're fine. Let it settle. We'll get a picture. I'm sure we'll have a picture of
Sure.
it.
Yes.
How long of a trail building project? I mean, you put 7 years at Little Mountain. How long do you foresee out here in Northern States?
Yeah, it depends upon the opportunity. If we're able to go beyond what we're planned right now, which is city, county, and port property, linking them together where we create perimeter trails around the edges of the park, build a bridge, you know, and really hit the high spots out there, the nice places to build and things, to make it a nice local community trail system. That might take, you know, 6 to 8 years, just guessing, you know. The way that we'll build out there is going to be different. Little Mountain was all hand-built, and out here, just because it's going to require a lot of rock because it's so flat and drainage is a challenge, an awful lot of the work that we're going to do out there is going to be equipment-oriented because of the need to move in rock to build up the trail. So
if we get access to the mountains, it may go on for 30
yeah.
years.
And that's being talked about, and we don't anticipate anybody being against that, but only time tells, you know. So trying to get to DNR is the goal, and then it has the potential of being a significant regional trail system, whereas otherwise it's going to be a nice community trail system, which also has value, but it's just not as significant from a regional perspective.
Let's get it in. Jim, I have a little thing for you. We have a pen to sign the contract for a bunch of rock that you buy.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
I'm huffing and puffing. That's the name of one of the trails out there on my mountain bike uphill. And I get on Lazy Boy, and I'm just like dog tired. Why would they name this thing Lazy Boy? I don't feel lazy at all. I'm sweating. Now I know. Thank you for that. All right. So we got a work party Saturday. We got April and May having a quick meeting.
Bring hammers Saturday?
Oh yeah. Thank you. So those of you coming out to work, we need hammers, crowbars, nail pouches, screw guns. Anything else? Ashley, you can think of?
Hammers.
Okay, do we have enough power tools? We need to bring some power tools?
No.
We're good to go?
I've got one skill saw. I've got a skill saw, we need one more, we need hammers.
I got a chop saw and a steel saw I can bring.
And sledgehammer, we need a sledgehammer.
Okay. All right, with that, we are here.